District 186 sort of envisioned it, but we open it up to other schools. Chatham's
That's cool.
involved
That's
now.
awesome.
And Sacred Heart Griffin's always been involved as one of our we consider it a fourth high school, just funded a little bit different. I just know that we have to be a community and nothing should be excluded to one school or one
Because a lot of folks won't see it that way.
No,
so
right.
Good for you.
I mean, we
outstanding.
work really hard to make sure that we're building graduates for our future.
Well, joining us today at the table is Jennifer Gill, the superintendent of Springfield Public Schools, District 186. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Exciting.
Yeah, thank you for joining
We're
us.
glad to have you.
Nice setup.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was all our idea. We've talked about having you on for some time and just appreciate the fact that you could carve out a little bit of time to be with us. So I think one of the unique things about you and leading our school district here is the fact that you grew up here, you're a graduate, and I'm not going to steal the thunder, but would you just kind of share your personal story and your journey? Because I think it is really unique, and that Springfield's lucky to have you.
My mom and dad were both not from Springfield, but both ended up here in their career paths, becoming a teacher. Both of them came here to work in the schools. My dad was a teacher out at Buffalo Tri-City. He grew up in a small town, wanted to serve, was, forever, his whole career was in Buffalo Tri-City, and he loved it. And my mom was an orchestra teacher here in District 186 and came to this community for our orchestra here.
I have no idea.
To play.
Did not know that.
She played the violin and had gotten a master's degree from Ball State in music performance and teaching. And so that brought her to Springfield. My parents met here. So I was born and raised in Springfield. I went to Du Bois and Grant Middle School and Springfield High School. And my sister, who's 4 years younger than me, that teaches out in Chatham and lives in Chatham, also followed that same path. So I'm a third generation teacher. And I was just sharing with you that my daughter has gone into teaching, is in her first year up in, it's called Northfield 31, and it's in Northbrook, Illinois. And so
That's awesome.
I mean,
terrific.
that education was in my blood from the word go, and came back after going to Eastern Illinois and just set my sights on making this community the best that it can be.
Yeah. Now you taught here, right?
Right.
Were
So I
a
went
school administrator
to
and-
Eastern, and I went to Jacksonville for 3 years.
Oh,
and
really?
I taught at Washington Elementary School in Jacksonville. That was during the era where for every one position, there was about 35 to 40 candidates, if not more. And so it was hard to get on. And the only way you could get on in District 186 was to take like a maternity leave or something like that to get your foot in the door. So Jacksonville offered me a full position. I was driving back and forth, but love that community. I know the mayor over there. He and I went to Eastern Illinois together. So we're like, not too bad, a superintendent and a mayor. But Andy Ezzard's a great guy. And I just enjoyed that community as well. But there was an opening here in Springfield, and I took it. Robin was away and getting his law degree. And so when he came back, we decided Springfield was where we wanted to, get married, raise our kids. And so we did. And I got a job at Wanless Elementary School teaching. And then I went into administration. And I was at a bunch of different schools kind of training and learning the ropes under a lot of great principals. So I was at Franklin Middle School under Lyle Wind.
I'm a former Falcon.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I did that for 3 years, and I learned a lot because I was an elementary teacher, teaching third grade and fifth grade at different schools. And it was good to get that middle school experience. Then I went on and became a principal assistant at Du Bois under Cliff Hathaway, and also did 1 year under Roberta Hindy, who was a HR director to come in District 186. I learned a lot. And then I got my first principalship at Vachel Lindsay. Served there for 5 years, and then also served as the principal at McLernan Elementary School for 5 years. Wow. And then I took a big leap of faith and was offered a position in Bloomington it's McLean County Unit 5, so the outskirts of Bloomington, as their director of teaching and learning. And I couldn't pass it up to get that kind of opportunity to learn from another district, another superintendent, a large unit district just like Springfield. I took a leap of faith because I didn't think I wanted to stay away from Springfield, but I knew I needed to go learn and be in a different type of setting to learn and be better at what I wanted to do. I was taking the superintendent coursework, and I just knew that all I know is Springfield. And I know that a good superintendent probably has a little bit broader horizon. So, and then it was, by chance that the superintendency opened up here, and I applied and I got it, and I've been here ever since. So this is I've had my 10th anniversary on May 1st of last year. So this is working on my 11th year, and I'm excited to continue the work here.
Well, I think I speak for both of us. Springfield shares fortunate to have you leading the district. Some great things. I know during my time at the chamber, I had the opportunity to work pretty closely with Jennifer on a number of things. Sure. She was one of our board members and our board chair too, one of the years, and a lot of the work around the facilities, and early on in my time there, we did the study on the school district and performance.
So
we spent a lot of time working together.
We
and
used that Q5 money, the economic development money, and we did the survey. That the paid for the survey and the analysis of the survey. But when the report came back, it went out to all of the chamber members, and so they were able to honestly fill out the survey. What questions do you have of the district? What concerns do you have? What are your hopes and aspirations for where we want to go? And the biggest aspiration that came out of it was our facilities do not measure up to the communities near us, bigger communities, in the state of Illinois. And one of the facets and reasons of that was we had a failed sales tax referendum. And it was in, I think, 2010. They went out for that, and it failed. And so when I came on in 2014, the surrounding superintendents, they were really excited to get that back on the ballot. Yeah, and I said, whoa. We need to study why it failed, and we need to fix some things, or at least communicate the things that are needed. And that survey really helped us do that, because we had follow-up sessions where people could come and learn about specific topics that were specifically answers that came out of that survey. Yeah, so, for instance, they just didn't understand advanced placement and dual credit and the different things that we had to offer our students. We have 18 different advanced placement courses, and we keep adding them. We have dual credit opportunities in several of our classes with Lincoln Land.
Sure.
But additionally, we have some new opportunities. For instance, we have a teacher pipeline where students can go out to Lincoln Land and take classes there early in the morning. They take 2 classes, then they come to school just a little bit late. But by the end, they almost have an associate's degree in their work towards becoming a teacher.
Yeah, that's
so
awesome.
That's impressive.
Yeah, these kind of things are awesome opportunities that we're able to do. Some with the federal funds that we got after COVID, but mostly through some CTE grant and pathways, and just really great support from Lincoln Land and Charlotte Warren and her crew out there, are always willing to come to the table with us and think about how we can help kids get their foot in the door. We're on the very crux of doing an agriculture or an ag business type program as well. And we have a building trades that has been really successful at Lamphere and growing. And that's not to say that the work that our CACC does is not enough. It's just saying we need more opportunities. Yeah. Some kids may not be able to go out to CACC for a half day. And if they could go early in the morning and just take a couple classes and then come and take those AP classes and everything during the day, they're set and ready to go.
Yeah, what's CACC?
It's a Capital Area Career Center. So it's a buy-in. It's a school. Credits there earned or count towards their work, but they also do credentialing. So you have people going out there for cosmetology. For I just heard that they're going to start a barber program and some really cool things like that. But they also do nursing, so CNA programming, where they get some of their things under their belt, and they too have a building trades program.
Nice.
But we go there alongside kids from all over the county.
I was just going to say, is that countywide? That's what I thought.
So we're obviously the biggest group that pays in to CACC, and we do pay for our students to go there. But it's an option, and it's got a lot of great welding programs, some automotive programming. So they have a lot of great opportunities. I think they're going to come and present at an upcoming board meeting. But we know that career pathways are for everybody. And not everybody is going to go on to a 4-year institution when they leave. Right. They may go to a certification program. And I want every student to feel like that is their path and that we're supporting them. I think for a while there was a lot of, if you don't go to a 4-year college right out of school, you don't know what you're doing. Yeah. The only other option is military. Sure. There are so many careers out there that pay very well if you get out there, get your credentials, and do the programming so that you can be, a journeyman and get ready to move in to any type of trade as well. And we've just changed our thinking on that over the last few years. It's not just about college. And some people just get into so much debt and they don't know what they're doing when they get out. They
Right.
got debt with no plan.
Right.
Yes.
We want every student to have a plan, and many of them need to go on to four-year college for the path that they're going. But many of them could look at other credentialing programs and be in our workforce almost immediately.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a goal
and
for
I
us.
would agree. I think that's been it's been a significant change in the mindset. I think specifically around
Right.
Springfield community, that everybody does not have to go to a 4-year university
Yeah.
That's right.
in order to have a fantastic career path. In
Yeah.
fact, there are a lot of other options,
Yeah.
some
Right.
of which you've just mentioned for sure.
Well, and we work the medical community is one of our groups that we work with greatly. They need every type of employee.
Sure.
They need accountants. They need people who can do technology type services. When you go to the doctor now, somebody pulls a screen in front of you.
Right.
You know,
Right.
they need people doing that work, techs doing that work. Some of these programs are just credential programs. They just go get a certification in something that will help you move forward. Radiology technicians, things like that. And
Yeah.
it's so important that we start to open the eyes of all of our students and really think about how our medical community here is fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, with the
Yeah.
clinic and both hospitals and the SAU School of Medicine, we have a lot of needs here, and we need to make sure that we're giving students the opportunity to learn about what opportunities there are for this community, so they stay here.
yeah.
That's what we always
Yeah.
hope.
Well, there are a lot of things going on at the schools, right? Remodels and Landfair looks amazing.
Yeah, we are
I mean, what
so
I've seen,
excited.
you know,
yes,
yeah.
and
Tell us
we're going to have a
about the
lot of
fields
community
and-
outreach and opportunities to come in.
Yeah.
But we're hoping to finish Lanphier up. The main sections of Lanphier will be finished in January,
Oh, boy.
meaning the brand new Lobernica Gymnasium, which is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
It's a 3-tier gym. So you have your bottom floor is your competition. Then you have 2 floors that are up on each side that are full basketball capable, but they're also full volleyball. They could be wrestling. So you could have multiple practices going on at multiple times. We also have a secondary gym that is the wrestling gym, if you will, the Gardner Gymnasium. It also serves as a storm shelter. One thing, when you build facilities, you have to add in any new school code type
Yeah,
opportunities. So in Illinois, it's important to have a storm shelter.
Sure.
You hear about schools getting hit by storms and things like that. So you need to make sure you're prepared. But it is a beautiful gymnasium as well. So you could have a volleyball match going on there, or a wrestling meet, a practice, and still have the full gym for a basketball game or something of that nature. So it's going to be beautiful. I can't wait to show everybody. It's got a big track that surrounds the gym floor, and we're excited to open that. But also the wing of the building and the classrooms were designed with the teacher in mind, designed with what they need for storage, and designed for student engagement.
Yeah.
So in the hallways, you'll see each wing has a little area where students can gather and study or meet and collaborate. Then above every locker is a little shelf with a plug-in. Our kids are very, we want to teach kids good digital citizenship, and not just say no all the time, because then that just becomes a battle. But teaching that there are limits, there are boundaries that you have during the school day. But we also know that that's how they get messages about their jobs or other things. So it's just kind of working through all those issues. But Lanphier, when we open it up, is going to be a game changer for the North End. We're going to tear down the old Edison wing. That's still to come. We will be still working on the auditorium into the next school year to finish it up. It's elaborate. It's a brand new structure, and things take time. And all the lighting and the electrical systems that have to go in there is next level. But it's going to be a next level location. Once we get into the new cafeteria and commons area, which is going to have a huge skylight, the old commons, which would be kind of over on the corner of Converse, if you will, and 11th Street, is going to be repurposed into a building trades entire system of trades.
Okay.
Yeah. So getting back to where, it may not be the old shop of the old days with those types of tools, because everything's sort of digital these days.
Yeah,
but
sure.
kids still need to have space to build structures and learn how structures are put together, learn how electrical wiring is done, and have a chance. Our building trades program goes through different 8-week sessions where you learn about a trade in depth. You get to talk to people in our community about that. O'Shea has done a great job with some mentoring and some shadowing of, just walking through job sites and talking to them about the different types of jobs that they see.
Sure.
It's been a great opportunity.
Now, you bring
to grow.
students from other schools to Lanphier for that program?
We hope to. Yes,
Gotcha.
we definitely hope to. If they're not going to go to CACC and they want to do a program within our schools, obviously Lanphier has been able to have enough students to run the program
I'm sure.
quite successfully. And we really want to see something like that at every school. Southeast already has sort of a medical situation too. We call it the Health Science Academy. And everybody who's in that is in a cohort of students that go through all 4 years together. And they have a couple of classes that are specifically taught in that academy while they're also taking their other classes. And we have speakers come in. Memorial Medical Foundation. It's called, I believe, Anatom. I'm not going to be able to say it. It's a big digital iPad that's the human body.
Oh,
No
really?
kidding.
Right, and it's got the word anatomy in it with another few letters.
Well, that's pretty
but
anatomical.
anatomage or something
Yeah,
like that table.
that's
But it's a
cool.
teaching, so it flips. So you can see 3D up and down the body. You can see
Wow.
it 3D. You can see it laying flat as if you were going to do surgery. If it's skeletal, then they pull up the skeletal, and then they have nervous system and muscular system and digestive system and all of these things.
That is cool.
You
I did not
learn,
know that.
You actually get to see what the organ looks like as you're learning to name them and get ready. So what better prep for a medical program?
yeah,
Right.
for
Whether
sure.
it's a traditional I want to go to med school, or I want to go into nursing, or I want to go into one of these other, you still have to be knowledgeable
Right.
about the body systems and how they interact. So to have that there, and to have, it was a very expensive tool that the foundation was very generous to that program. We want to give kids the most hands-on, the best type of instruction possible. We also use something out of U of I called Project Lead the Way. At each of our high schools, we have medical mystery courses. So when you go into those programs, there's a health problem that a student or a person has, and then they work through, okay, what are the symptoms? Is it a public health issue? Is it a specific thing that can be treated by a medicine? And how do we find out what medicine goes with what type of a concern? So with all of that being said, it's just a real hands-on pre-medical program. We offered that at all three, but the Health Science Academy takes it even a little bit further.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So just
That
trying
is.
to be creative. And then we have great partners with like the P4 program at SIU School of Medicine, which is a physician prep program that kids do on their own time. But they want to be doctors. They know that they getting the leg up.
And you have students
It's
that enter
important.
that as early as their freshman year, right?
They enter it freshman year, and the proof is now in the pudding. They have, I think, 4 different students that have come back and are either through the medical program or have graduated from SIU and are working here in our
that's
community.
terrific. That's
And
great.
one kid that he went to Southeast, but he was in the program. I'm sorry, he went to Sacred Heart Griffin. He's in the program. We have a couple from our own high schools that are now in the program, but he recently graduated, and it's Matt Mannion. And he's a great kid, and I've known him for a long time, and his family for a long time.
Was that
He
Mike
just
and
can't.
Michelle?
Yes,
Mike and Michelle.
yeah, Mike
we
and
know them.
Michelle's
Yeah, he's a great kid.
Great kid,
Yeah.
and he went through that program, and it just turned everything around for him. And he went then to SIU, and he loved it.
Yep.
And District 186 sort of envisioned it, but we open it up to other schools. Chatham's
That's cool.
involved
That's
now,
awesome.
and Sacred Heart Griffin's always been involved as one of our 4. We consider it a 4th high school,
Yeah.
just funded a little bit different.
Yeah.
I just know that we have to be a community, and nothing should be excluded to
Yeah. Well, good
one
for you.
school or
Great,
one.
yeah.
Because a lot of folks
one
won't see
area.
it that way.
No,
so
right.
Good for you.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
we
outstanding.
work really hard to make sure that we're building graduates for our future, and we do a lot of proportionate share funding with our parochial schools, and that's something that people don't know, is that our federal dollars actually proportionately, depending on their low income status or the number of students that they have, we actually fund programs for their professional development, for special education needs.
Oh, wow.
We provide our teachers to help serve their kids that may have, some special needs that need to be taught specifically through an individual education plan. And so it's just, it's an interesting thing that a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, most people don't. Yeah.
good stuff.
Now, Springfield High soon
Starting.
begins.
Right.
The-
So
the
this
construction.
Thursday, we have a meeting at the high school, public meeting where you can come in and see the plans and give any feedback or say, yeah, that looks awesome, or just get to see it. I think
Yeah.
people are just curious. It's our oldest high school in town, and it is a gem really in the community. And one thing we know about it is its bones are strong. Those buildings were built really strong, brick all the way around. which poses some problems,
Yep.
but makes some things really easy too, because things were built right, and we can utilize that. But also, we have bought up all the property now on Monroe Street. All of the contracts are signed, so those houses and homes will come down, or businesses, so that we can build the gymnasiums there, the storm shelter one, and one that's very similar to Lanphier's, equal in size, just has to be a little bit of a different shape, and things of that nature. Off the back of the building will come down some of those old wings that we all know as where the shop classes used to be held at Springfield High, or the music classes, in order to put a 3-story new classroom structure off the back of the school. Those 3 things will be our focus at the beginning.
Gotcha.
Building the new structures and not really changing anything that's happening inside. And then eventually we'll tear down the old gym, and there'll be some grass space back there. They've never really had any green space to the back of the building. And we've also purchased some property on Washington Street, and looking at some different options for parking. We know that safety is a big thing there across Monroe and Washington in the morning. Great. I mean, Misty Busher, I called and said, hey, can we think about getting some new stoplights there? And she jumped right on it. We've already got them ordered. And,
That's
that
great.
right?
yeah,
That's
we've
awesome.
had, we want to always caution people to be careful crossing the street there.
Right.
When the sun's out in the morning and just coming up, people can be blinded. It's the old look both ways before you cross the street is not something you ever want to forget in life. And we want to make sure that we're providing safe parking that kids can get to through the construction and during it. But then they will come back in another phase and work on the inside of the building and build out some really cool features, but all while keeping the historical nature of our schools, because Lamphere, front of it looks the same, got a new driveway that's gone in for drop off and pickup, and Memorial Stadium's awesome too.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people have had a chance to see that, but like no other in our community, and it's important.
Nothing like what it used to be.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
it is really cool.
Yeah.
So how do they decide? Do you have a consulting firm that, like you say, okay, you've got a pool of money. How do you decide what project gets started, or how you divvy it up between all the schools?
The first thing we did was a sort of a regional study of what we thought we would be able to get with sales tax dollars, because all of these projects are pretty much 100% sales tax, except for some health, life, safety that we can use grants from the state board in the state of Illinois. We found that the survey first said we thought we'd get about $10 million a year. Every school district has a debt window, like how much debt they can hold at any time. It's called debt service extension base. It's just a formula. We're a property tax cap community, so it kind of was based on what your financial outlook looked like at the time you went into that PTEL property tax cap, era, which was in like 1974. Long time ago,
Wow,
right?
that is a long time, yeah.
So our district was in really good financial shape at that time, and that allowed. So big shout out to the superintendent of that era, because I have a lot of space between to borrow money up to, and so we've been able to look at all of our debt that we have and structure it, and so we go out and sell bonds, and they're called alternate revenue bonds, and we sell them against what we know we're going to get for the sales tax over time. But here's the good thing: is we've been getting almost $2 million more every
Per year.
since
What
we
year
got
did that
it.
start? 17, 18?
17. Well, we passed it in 17, and so that it became active in 18. But it's been good for us in that we've been able to pay down our debt a little bit more, which was actually really good because things became a lot more expensive after COVID. So what we predicted we would be able to do and what we actually did. So for an example, Lamphere, when we first bid out on it, it was in the upper 70s, 79 million that we would spend to renovate and repurpose all of the space. Of course, our dreams got a little bigger, right?
Sure.
And that's good because once you get into it, you're like, oh, I want that.
Yeah.
Oh, that costs this. However, after COVID, that price went up. So in the end, it was a $98 million.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But we were able to sell enough bonds and look at how we're structuring our debt to be able to get through that. And Springfield High, just because of having to buy up the property and do those things, it's going to be more like 123 million over time. But we're going to be paying that off over many, many years.
Sure.
Yeah.
But every school district has long-term debt where they're paying things. And in the meantime, we've been able to use the money that we're getting and the bonds that we've sold for improvements at all of our middle schools to provide extra cafeteria space, reduce a lot of mobile units at our elementary and do safe and secure entrances and extra classroom space. So all of those have just touched a lot of schools so far, and we want to keep moving that. So when we planned it out, We used BLDD to kind of help us do the whole process. And they're the companies, the architects that are designing. They designed Lamphere, and they're working on Springfield High. But we also use O'Shea as our construction manager to kind of help us with cost projections, timing, making sure we order the right things at the right time so that they're in when we need them. Obviously, the switch boxes were on huge delay last year for Lamphere. And these aren't just little, but these are the massive fuel, just kind of the center, where we do all the fuse boxes that you would have in your house times 300, for several areas of the building. And we just couldn't get them in because it was all tied up in the kind of distribution woes that our whole entire, really our world, everybody, not just the United States had.
Right.
But we were able to order, Savaggio steel is good to us, and we were able to order the steel way ahead of time and have those orders in and ready to go. The prefab walls that come in to do the gymnasiums, we ordered those way in advance, and I needed the help of my partners to do that. We don't know how to do that work on our own. So relying on BLDD and O'Shea and many of the other subcontractors that really were there, it was important to us.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, it's fun to drive around Springfield and see all
that
the
change.
change. I was going to say, one of the things that came out during our survey was that when people are considering coming to the community, the very first thing they look at is our schools.
Yeah,
and that's an investment in our future. And while I know there were those who were opposed to the tax, certainly a larger number of people had the vision to say, this is the future of Springfield.
Well,
and
when you have a new
critically
family
important.
moving in and they're looking to choose their schools, the first thing they do is drive by it.
Yeah, sure.
And if it doesn't look like you want to go there, they're not even going to go inside to learn what's going to happen inside the doors.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Well, we were just at
important.
Williamsville for a JV football game.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, if I was
Unbelievable.
coming in from out of town, I drive by that facility. I'm like,
Yeah.
we're moving here.
Right.
Sherman. I mean, I'm just
I know.
saying that because
I
I
know.
was really
It was
impressed.
it was beautiful.
It was
yeah.
It's
amazing.
unbelievable.
And so we need to make every single one of our schools look good in order to
Right.
get that same
Yeah.
drive-by,
Yeah.
image. But I think it's also what we do in the classroom and how we communicate it. And Tip and I are always bragging on each other about, well, my scoreboard's just a little bit bigger than your scoreboard, and mine's got better pixels, though. We just kind of laugh because he's a good friend. But we did. That's what's cool about the sales tax is it's a county.
Yeah.
Every school district around us is getting to do something that they needed on a scale that is proportionate to the number of students that they serve. It has nothing to do with your demographics or anything of that nature. It's all about how many pupils do you have, how many students do you serve, and this is what you're going to get, and that's how the formula works. So, for instance, Shields Sports Park's exciting, and we had the land where they want to build, and so we did do a property tax sort of relief for them so that they are able to utilize the property. We're not going to get the property tax revenue. We're going to give it back to the project, but it's only for the ground, not the structures that will be built there, and not any of the surrounding areas. So we will still get property tax value from any building that's built out there that will not be a part of the complex, but be in service too. We're going to see a lot of growth out there when that goes in.
As a result of that, you'll reap a greater benefit from the sales tax.
Every single piece of that. And then when people come into towns, I know the three of you have done just like I did, soccer getaways and volleyball getaways. And it's almost it's where you spend your money as a family for so many. We missed it when it was over.
Right.
What do I do this weekend?
Right.
I need to go spend money in some other community, right?
Right.
And we want them to come here.
Sure.
And we want our kids to be able to stay at home once in a great while instead of having to travel. And that is just going to be a game changer, I think, for the weekend spend. And then during the week, Springfield 186 will have access to the fields for practices and for games, and that's just going to be a great community spirit, I think, for the.
That's terrific.
Yeah. That's going to
sure.
grow like crazy out there. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm predicting the future, I know, but I feel it. I feel that it's going to be a big game changer for all of us in revenues for the sales tax.
Yeah,
awesome.
I would tend to agree. So what do you think, what are your biggest challenges looking down the road for the district?
Yeah. Getting kids back after COVID was tough. It was the toughest thing I've done in my career. And getting kids that missed their first 2 years of high school back on track to graduate on time. Those were the students that were here last year. And, when I look at my graduation rates, I'm like, that's not where I want it to be. But I also know that for 2 years, some of kids didn't have the right things that they needed to be successful.
Yeah.
And so that was the kids who graduated last year. They were in it during their freshman year in March. They had to go home, and they weren't there their sophomore year. They were in a hybrid. A lot of fear, a lot of anxiety came along with that. A lot of people did not do well in an environment where they had to be online, or they didn't really have the space at home or the resources, or they went to work. We had kids working in our community during the school day.
Yeah. Yep.
It was just a thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right.
They could go make some money. That's when the businesses are open.
Sure.
And it was a stressor. So getting us back from that academically and opportunity-wise for kids, but still working in the same accountability system that we've always worked in has been a challenge.
Gotcha.
So nothing really changed on these are your test scores. This is what we expect of you. We expect 85 or higher % attendance, but we also want you to have your kids stay home for 10 days if they feel like they don't feel good, because everybody was very worried about the spread of COVID still. Now it's 5 days, but still that's 5 full days if you have 5 scares or whatever. And it's just one of those things that it's been hard to resonate with. Yeah. So making sure that we're doing everything through summer planning and giving kids opportunities and getting them really interested in being back in school, it's still a challenge for us.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure. And I could be wrong about this, so I'm going to ask for your clarification. When people talk about graduation rates, so a student who started in 2020, that was their freshman year, and they, for varying reasons, all of which you just described and probably others,
got off track.
They fell behind, got off track, and so they may graduate a year late. Maybe it took them 5 years to graduate. Right. So that goes against your graduation rate, right?
It does.
Because all those students that started in that 19 and 20 year are in a certain cohort, correct?
Right.
And therefore, when they graduate in a 5th year, they don't get counted as is that? Am I correct about that?
You're absolutely correct. So it has.
And so it impacts numbers in a way that people don't really understand.
Every year we could run a report that says, okay, there were 300 kids at Lanphier in 12th grade and 295 graduated. That's just a percentage of how many that came to school that year and graduated that year. That's not what a graduation rate is. It's whether or not you started as a freshman and you finished as a senior. So there's a lot of codes there's 5 or 6 codes for kids to drop to go to other communities. If they move out of town, they get dropped out of your cohort and are not against you. But we have a lot of kids who also need some alternative programming and need some alternative supports. They go and get credit recovery. And once again, even if they have to go to summer school after their senior year, just for one class maybe. Maybe you just didn't pass government, or you didn't do so well one semester in English. You need 4 graduation credits for English. If you mess up your senior year and don't pass one semester, you can't graduate unless you double up in the spring.
Wow.
And then you have to pass them both in the spring. There's no option.
And
So if they go to
at the end of the summer,
right? If they go to summer school and they do what they're supposed to, that goes against us and goes on our 5th year.
you get penalized on that. Yeah, that's
and every year the state report card has 5th year graduation rates and 6th year graduation rates, but we don't celebrate those. Something about the mindset is that you're supposed to do this in 4 years. However, when you go to college and you take 5 years, people give you a pat on the back. Okay, you did it right. You decided what you wanted to do. Oh, you got off track with your major and went into a different major. Then that's celebrated. But in high school, it's not.
And how about we celebrate those kids that they get off track and yet
they
don't
still come back to school
and they finish.
They're 19, they're 20, they're still going to one of our school programs to graduate. That takes more courage.
No question.
Absolutely.
That takes a lot of courage.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it's just one of those things that's been frustrating. But I also know that I don't like where we are comparison. We're in comparison like Jacksonville and Danville and Rockford and some of the other communities. But a lot of times we'll get compared to the smaller school, and there's just less mobility as well. Yeah. People come and they stay in their community and they go through. We sometimes lose kids and we don't know where they went. And we have to get on Facebook and try to find somebody's aunt to reach out to say, hey, we've been missing John. He hasn't been in school. Oh, well, they moved to Milwaukee. Okay, have they enrolled in school? Have they asked for our records so that we can drop them officially? Those are all we call them student detectives. We got to find them and make sure that we get through.
Gosh.
Just a lot of things that when you're in a big district.
You probably have full-time staff just to do that, right?
We try, but everybody's pretty they get taxed with, especially at the end of the year when you're trying to do all that for the next year. And we're looking at our process and protocols. Is there anything we can do to make that that system of dropping kids and finding kids easier? Is there, things that we need to do with our coding system and train differently? We're always looking at that, but we sometimes think that we've lost some kids that we really don't know, and we're being penalized because of that. But we own it, and we know it's our data, and we want to make sure that we're doing the best thing we can.
That's terrific.
Well, we want to make sure we honor your schedule and time because you have way more on your plate than most people ever think about having.
Talking about the school district's my number one favorite thing to do.
So
no big deal.
And Brad may have another question. I have two questions at least that I'd like to ask. One is for the people who are listening.
Yeah.
What do they need to know? You've talked a lot about the district, obviously, but what is like the one or two things you'd love for our community to know that they may not know about Springfield Public School District?
Reach out and go visit our schools or come to some of our events. Don't let your image of our district be defined by one incident or one story that you've heard. And our teachers, I will put them up against any teaching staff in the country. We focus on professional development greatly, and I know that it's a strength that we have. It's something that we have mentor programs for the first 3 years of a teacher's life. We have opportunities for teachers to go out and learn outside of our district to conferences and things like that. And I don't think people know the amount of work that it goes in to professionally develop our staff. 4 years of undergraduate how to be a teacher is not enough. Things change all the time. I'm always learning. I'm always on a path of learning something new every year and or rethinking or reanalyzing what we do in light of what we need for our kids today. We've been deeply talking about AI and how we can embrace it rather than just ban it and get scared of it. I mean, I'm a little scared of it. I think we all should be. Yeah. But I also know that if we don't embrace it and teach students how to use it the right way and teach teachers how to utilize AI in a good way, that we're going to be up against a big monster here and we won't be ready for it. So I don't think it's okay to plagiarize. So that's not the message. But we can utilize it in other ways that allow you to do research much smarter. Just be aware of different opportunities that AI is going to have in our world is right on the crux. So I think we have a great ed tech program as well. So all of these things are important to me.
Yeah, good stuff.
Terrific.
So all your years in education and everything that you've learned in life's journey, if you could look back with what you know today and tell yourself when you were 20 years younger, you need to know this. What might be those one or two things?
Well, first of all, never think you've learned everything. Yeah. You always, I don't think anybody who's a superintendent that pretends they know everything is going to be a real successful one. And you have to, it's all about relationships. And I think I had some great mentors in my life that told me about that, right? That when you're educating children or you're working with families, they're sending their most precious thing to school every day. It might as well take your ring off, your diamond, and give it to somebody you don't know and say, go ahead and take care of that for the rest of the day, and I'll be back to get it at the end of the day. That's what we're dealing with. And we want every family to feel like they're welcome and supported. And that looks really different than just going to school and teaching and going home. You have to get to know families. You have to get to know students. And the administrators have to do the same for their staff, and they have to be there to support them. I think that one thing I would have told myself is don't get too upset about things because things will come and go. Your job is to always be looking forward and don't look back at what happened yesterday. Keep thinking about the things that you can stop and work forward toward. And I don't think I would have changed my career path. A lot of people say that, but I feel like this was what I was meant to do, and I was meant to be in a big chaotic system, and and that's stressful some days. And I wish I was in a different type of system. But I also know that every superintendent has a hard job because it's different. Mine, I have a lot of people, but I have to manage all of that and all the chaos. But then if you're a small town superintendent, you're the only person for a lot of different jobs.
Good point.
Same with principals in some smaller towns. So I know that we're all stressful. And I think that the best thing I would, and that I would encourage any superintendent or any teacher, any principal, is find a cohort of people that you can trust to reach out to. Don't think you can do it alone. Don't be that person that wants to know it all. Be that person that wants to learn and ask questions and be able to not judge others, but ask for input, because I think that's when you become a better leader.
Wow. Well said.
Yeah. Very well.
And I mean, I've known you, I think, for 8 or 10 years, and the one thing that's always resonated with me is your passion and commitment to the kids. It's kids. That's all I hear you say. And particularly during COVID, we have meetings, and I was just like, my goodness. I said, she has to get up in the morning wondering where the bullets are coming from. And you know what I mean? And you do it very, very well. And our community is lucky to have you. That is for certain.
Well, thank you.
For sure.
I'm going to stick around a few more.
Yeah, good.
And this will always be my community, so I really enjoy it. And I always never want to not give an opportunity to shout out to my school board. They're not paid positions, and they take a lot. They take the ups and the downs, and they get a lot of the phone calls of the angriest people that have really gone through all of the systems and may not have gotten the answer that they needed at that point. And I've gone through, none of the members on my board now were on the board when I was named superintendent. So building those relationships and letting them get to know me and have the opportunity for them to ask me questions and me to respond to them is such an important part of my job every day. But I'm thankful that there are people that want to step up and say, I want to run for the school board, or I want to serve in that capacity.
Yeah, that's terrific.
Yeah, awesome. Good stuff. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for
Thank you.
joining us.
Thank you.